The CW Tampa Bay.
Whoo, good morning. Hello. Good world. We were just talking about our 16-year-olds and they're driving.
You better kids, please start it.
And getting them out to the door in the morning. Keith and I have a lot in common because we have big age ranges in our families.
Yeah.
And it is a special parenting challenge when you have a big range between them. So
My son is a freaking, he's awesome.
He's he's 4. All right, you got.
yeah.
He's he thinks I'm the coolest person in the world.
So we're going to the house and we'll grab my wallet.
Okay.
What's the D in the L? Huh? What's the D in the L?
Okay, so I am gonna ask you all, unless you're participating, to stay muted, because the background noises are super distracting and I'm easily distracted. So, okay, today we are gonna talk about embracing your job and all the things that that may entail. But I'm not smart enough to get this to go. Oh, there we go. Great. So this kind of takes you through what the Ignite, like all the steps, what it's gonna look like. Today, we're gonna talk about embrace your job. You're stuck with me today. We are probably gonna be done. Well, we will be done by 11 because I have Rotary at 11:30 and I have to do lottery today. So, and then tomorrow we're gonna talk about connecting with your market, which is a really big deal because you really need to be the local expert of your market area. Even like pockets of Lexington, be like hyper local within Lexington. Anyway, we'll get to that. And then on Friday, we're going to talk about defining your value, which is really big. You have to know what you're bringing to the table for people. Anyway, and then so on and so forth. So we'll get to all those things. Okay, so today's agenda is we are going to apply the 6 core competencies of a business. And if you've never been in the business world, this is a big deal. You got to know what you're doing. And recognizing your role as a fiduciary for your clients, which I know Michael talked about a lot the other day. And we will continue to talk about that. Reviewing the success system, recapping, and let's move people. And the daily success system. And if I can give any advice going into this, don't try to make it up. It's all laid out for you. It tells you exactly what you should do to be successful. And I think that's why it took me so long to kind of get going in real estate, is because I thought I could do it better than all the geniuses who have made zillions of dollars doing it. So you are not smarter than them. Doing it your own way is totally fine, but follow the guidance that they're giving you. Okay. Let's see. Oh my gosh, don't you have a job? All right. There we go. Okay, so the 6 core competencies of a business. This is basically what your job is going to entail every day. You have to lead generate every day. If you don't, you won't have any business ever. So lead generate, capture, and convert to appointments, which can be very tricky. Does anybody have any really good tips for how to convert leads? You can get leads. You can get leads from anywhere. I go to the dog park and get leads.
Yeah.
Right? I go to schools and talk to teachers and get leads. I can go to baseball and get leads. But if you can't convert those leads to actual business, it doesn't really matter. So does anybody have any good tips or tricks for converting leads? Zoom world is quiet. They're not awake yet. Okay, so I actually took a lead conversion class through KW Max Coaching with Anna Kruger.
Yeah, how was that? Was it really good?
Worth every penny.
Really?
Yes, I
That's
would
what Rebecca was talking.
highly recommend it. She used to be a teacher also, so.
Yeah.
Oh, I guess I should have introduced myself. I'll get there. Anyway, she used to be a teacher and she's amazing. And honestly, the biggest part of converting the lead is capturing their motivation. Honestly, and I actually have a chart in my office. I'm gonna grab it because it's really cute. Okay, so this is the foundational order of conversation. And the very first thing that she teaches you is getting their motivation. You should be able to do it in 3 minutes. And if you have their motivation, when they start to flake out on you and you're starting to lose the lead, you can say, hey, do you remember why we're doing this? Do you remember that you wanted to downsize so that you could have money for your kids to travel? Whatever the case may be, whatever their motivation was. When they start to go, oh, I don't really like this house. Okay, we've looked at 47 houses now. Do you remember why we're doing this? And you can help them remember what the point of doing this was in the first place, because moving is hard, right? You should acknowledge it with your clients. Moving is hard. So, converting leads to appointments with motivation is huge. Anybody else have any Zoom world? Are you awake? Anybody else have any great, Beth, do you have any great tips for converting leads?
Yeah, so personally, I find you have to get in front of people, right? We can't assume that we're going to convert a lead through an email. It's not going to happen. We can't assume we're going to convert a lead through a text message. Sometimes it happens if we luck out, but that's generally not the case. We really have to focus on, we know our core roles within our job, one of which is setting the appointment. And we have to really do that if we want to convert the lead into a true someone that's going to do business with us. I talk to so many agents who are like, oh no, I talked to this person on the phone and I texted with them. We're good. We're going to work together and they're going to be my customer. Great. They've never seen your face.
Yeah.
Awesome. So tell me when they sign a contract then, right? So that would be my best advice for anyone is you got to get in front of people if you want to convert. And that means even like meet and greets. That means even like networking and going to being involved within the community. That's where conversion happens, when people know you and know who you are, and they can recognize you. So.
That's one way I do a lot of community stuff because I enjoy it. And that's one way I scratch that teacher itch, is like being involved in the community and serving that way. But also like going to things like Rotary and belonging to those clubs and baseball and track and being the track booster president and all those things. That just helps me get in front of more people. I mean, I don't do it for that only reason, but it helps. There is a statistic out there, and Beth, you might know it better than I do, but if you get an online lead, if you meet them within 24 hours, you're like 50% more likely to move forward with a lead than you are if you don't meet them within that first 24 hours. Do you know what I'm talking about? Do you know that?
Yeah, absolutely. That is a statistic from the National Association of Realtors. I believe this stat is somewhere around 64%
Okay.
more likely. But truthfully, we also know that the same way goes with online leads, right? So I know a lot of people are getting online leads and they go, online leads are junk. Well, online leads are junk if you don't convert them.
Yeah.
And the conversion happens in how quick you are to talk to the people, how quick you are to get in front of them. So we know that when an online lead comes into us, that we have to talk to them really within the first minute. Because the way the human brain works, and the way we've been trained in terms of the way the internet works, is we go online, we put in our information because we're interested. If we don't immediately get information, we go somewhere else.
Yeah.
Right? But could you imagine if you immediately put in information and within 1 minute, someone calls you back, right? And you start to have that interaction. Now that person is cemented and that person is part of your world and they're real. They're not just the internet world out there. So for those of you that are frustrated with the idea of internet leads, that's the best way to do it. Speed to lead.
Yep. Great. Okay, so then another competency of business is presenting to buyers and sellers to get an agreement. That means doing the appointments, have a buyer presentation, have a buyer consultation. Please have a consultation with your buyers so that you can set expectations. You can review everything you need to talk about. What is this gonna look like? What are the steps for the process? All the things. And then get the agreement signed. Explain it all, get the agreement signed. And listings is the same way. Every listing, walk in with the document in your hand, present your stuff, ready to sign. Have to have it with you all the time. Yeah, that's just the way it is. Oh, and so the next one is show buyers and market sellers. Hard to sell houses if you don't get out there and show them, right? I don't know what more I can really say about that one. You just have to get out there and do it. A great way to kind of get comfortable with that if you're new is to go to open houses or do open houses. Every week when I first started, well, I take that back. When I actually started, because there's a difference between when we started and then when I really started, because I taught full time while I was trying to do this, and that and raising a family, it just didn't work very well. So when I actually first started, I called agents in our office every week. I would look on MLS and look at who had new listings. I would say, hey, can I do an open house for you this weekend? Hey, can I do an open house for you this weekend? They might respond, they might not. But that's how I got started, is I did open houses. And that helped me learn how to talk to people, show the houses and all that kind of stuff. So, okay, and then you have to write and negotiate contracts. You have to be able to do those things in order to have a business. But you have to know the contract and be able to explain it to people in the best way possible, because you are helping them with one of the biggest decisions that they're ever going to make. And it's a very serious business. So you have to know the contracts in order to write and negotiate them. And then coordinating the sale to all the way to closing. Which is a lot. There's a lot of steps, right? You're organizing inspections and escrow money and negotiating back and forth after the inspection and making sure that they know when they need to turn on utilities or turn off utilities and closing and all the things. So there's a lot of steps. If you do not have some sort of checklist to keep yourself on track, I would highly recommend looking on our .loop. And we have in there KW checklists for buyers and one for sellers. I would highly recommend using those to keep yourself on track and make sure you don't miss a step. You don't wanna leave something out for your clients. You wanna be the best you can. And then managing the money. One thing I did wanna say about this is that when, there's a lot of conversations about, will you reduce your commission? People that don't know you, they'll ask you. Or people that do know you. Well, this guy is gonna do it for 1%. Well, he can do it for 1%. If I'm not even willing to fight for my money, how am I gonna fight for your money? And you might lose some. I lost one that way, and I sold them a house and was going to sell their house, and they went with the reduced person, and some people that's more important to them, and that's fine. But managing their money is a huge piece of it. So, anybody wanna say anything about that?
The whole commission thing, that's where you're back in farmers.
Yes, 1000%.
Yeah, they sell at 1%, but here's what I can do for free.
Yeah.
This is exactly why I charge what I charge.
Yep.
Is I word things.
Yep.
This is what I bring to the table.
And at the end of the day, some people are gonna go for it and some people aren't. And I wasn't willing to go down to 1%.
Wish you the best of luck.
Yep.
Anything else?
No hard feelings.
Free to give us a call.
With the type of people that these people were, I knew that's what was gonna happen. And that's okay.
Starting first. Then just go on. Yeah, right.
I just went there. Yeah. Fine, moving on. It's not business, or it's not personal, it's business. Okay, oh, we just did this, didn't we? Just kidding.
You get graphics now.
Yeah, now we get graphics. Anybody in Zoom world wanna add anything to any of those? Okay, great. What was it? Oh, goodness. Sorry, 2 seconds. Hold please. They have the whole stay. Okay, so there is another essential component to this job, and that is your mindset.
Yep.
And I think this probably should be at the front of everything else, because your mindset absolutely matters. We talked a little bit about this yesterday, and I gave an example of like my mountains of laundry. Okay, so if you don't know me, I'm Shay McBride. I'm the new PC coach. I was a teacher for a long time, got all the degrees, and was gonna go all the way, and then life. And I just needed a change. My family needed a change and needed me to be nice again. So my husband's a coach, he's gone a lot. So I moved into this role and I still do mountains of laundry. Mountains, I have giant people in my family. And so we talked about mindset the other day, and when I'm doing laundry, if I don't do at least 1 load a day, my laundry room is full. And we just moved laundry to the basement and I have this huge, amazing laundry room. So instead of being like, oh my gosh, I always have laundry, I can think, I have clothes for my kids. And I know that sounds silly and I don't always do it. But I try really hard to put my mindset in the right place because, and I know my house, mama sets the tone.
Yeah.
And the same way in the transactions, you are gonna set the tone for your client. So if you have a little speed bump in the road and you're like, you're gonna set the tone for your clients and they're gonna freak out. Oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? The whole thing's gonna fall apart and they're gonna think it's the end of the world and it's not. So your mindset is huge in this. Who can remember the 6 personal perspectives? Anybody?
Commit to self-mastery.
Yeah, look, Ben taking his notes, commit to self-mastery.
Commit to the 80-20
Yep,
principle. Moving from E to P.
yep,
Like being learning based, the foundation for your action plan.
yep,
Remove your limiting beliefs. Be accountable.
mindset, be accountable. I love it. Good job. Okay, so it is important to keep your mindset programmed to success and continue to believe in yourself. There are gonna be days where you're like, this sucks.
Yeah.
It is amazing how quickly you can go from highs to lows in this business. Right? You're in the morning, you're on top of the world, you talk to 10 people that all wanna buy and sell within the next 3 months and you're doing great. And then in the afternoon, one tiny thing happens and you're like, the world is falling apart. You have to be able to navigate the highs and the lows in this business big time. You just gotta keep going. You can't let the little things get you down. You can't let the people that don't wanna work with you because they want a discount agent at 1%, who didn't even put a sign in their yard for the first 2 weeks, I just wanna point out, and never did open houses and never marketed the neighborhood or anything like that. Whatever. And listed their house for $10,000 higher than I told them that it should be listed for. Anyway, you just can't let that stuff get you down. You just gotta move on. It's not personal. Adopting the mindset and philosophy of contributing to the lives of other people allows you to be direct and to the point with your interactions with others. So when you focus on coming from contribution, people are gonna feel that. They're gonna know that you are here with good intentions. You want the best for them. You want the win-win or no deal. You want to work with integrity and do the right thing all the time. You want them to always come first. So your energy and enthusiasm and a deeply rooted belief in what you're doing and that you are doing everything with integrity, it attracts people to you. They want to work with you when you have that mindset and that philosophy. And they're gonna see it. They're gonna see it with your actions, with your words, and like on social media, when you're posting things that are professional and appropriate, which is a whole nother class. They're gonna see it and they're gonna wanna work with you because you attract people like that. Take every opportunity to educate the people in your personal, professional, and social life about what you do and how you can help them. That is a great way to start. Actually, that's a really good first conversation to have with people. Guess what I'm doing now? Guess what? Just call them on the phone. If you're new, I know Mohammed's on here. I don't know if any other new people are on here. That's a great first conversation to have with people. Guess what? I'm doing now. I get the privilege of helping people buy one of the biggest assets they're ever gonna spend money on. So, these reminders for people in your network can lead to many referrals for business. Because when you call them, you're like, hey, guess what? I just got my license, I'm in the real estate world, I work with the best brokerage in the state. Who do you know? They're gonna be like, oh my gosh, I have my business, blah, 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 blah. So, the referrals come to you when you start having these conversations. Okay, let's discuss some realities about being a real estate agent. How long? Let's see if I can get to that screen. This is a good question. Oh, I'm not there yet. We'll just leave that right there. How long does it take to get a buyer and seller to sign a contract? On average. Anybody? Zoom? Y'all awake? Nobody's talking. Back.
I'm awake.
Hey.
I just haven't had my coffee yet, so just give me a minute, Cheyenne. I'm there.
Oh my
I'm
gosh.
there with you.
Oh, isn't that the first thing you do? Obviously not.
Yes, and like you are always prepared and in the right mindset. This morning, our house, hot mess.
Oh,
So
oh, you didn't hear the conversation about, no, you can't play with Legos. Please just get in the damn car.
yeah, this morning was definitely do you have two of the same shoes on? What is happening? Yeah. So yeah.
I was
Put them on.
Oh my
I
God.
was so tired when I dropped my kid off from school today. I totally hit the curb driving and popped a tire. So I've already been to get a tire change. So
Oh my
I'm still
gosh.
finishing up my coffee this morning.
Oh, I'm so That's a bad thing.
But I am listening and I am here and
Okay.
these are all great tips. Thank
Don't
you.
let that steal your joy.
Give me 30
I know,
minutes,
I'm
Cheyenne,
trying
and I'm
not
right there
to.
with you. 30 minutes.
I have, since I am back to like being here, like take the kids to school and come straight here. I don't have time to go like the dog park and whatever I did before. I have set my coffee to brew at 6. And when I get up and the coffee is ready, it is like the silliest, simple pleasure of my entire life. I get up and it's just ready. And then I can sit at the kitchen table with no one else there for 5 whole minutes before I get in the shower. And
Well,
drink my-
and I'm gonna say something that's probably unpopular since I know you guys got all of your snow overnight.
No,
Um,
we don't have any
It's
snow.
very cold here this morning for us.
Oh,
Better, so I have
Yeah.
a slow start because of that as well.
Yeah.
I mean, our high is only 52 today. For us, that's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
our
end of
high
the world time.
is 52 also. We're very excited about it because it's January.
Shorts.
Oh, you're gonna have a harsh reality when you come up here.
I know. I'm so scared. Please, please, everyone bear with me. Yes.
I will say, I'm from northern Indiana and the temperature here is mild, like the summers are longer. The spring starts a little bit earlier than it did up there, and the winter is not nearly as harsh. Not
Okay.
The sun shines brighter and the sky is bluer here.
There you go.
I've been in Ohio for 15 years. I freaking
Oh,
love
yeah,
it here.
Ohio's blue.
Okay, well, that gives me hope.
It's not that bad. You'll love it. It's not, it's all 4 seasons. What's there not to enjoy?
I mean, I don't like wearing sweaters. I'm already not excited, but
But
here we are.
sweaters and boots. Even boots. It's awesome. Nothing ever. I wear a G-jacket every day. Anyway, okay, so how long on average does it take to get from signing a buyer or getting a buyer and seller to signing a contract? For sale, like an actual contract. The average is like up to 60 days.
Wow.
Because not everybody's ready
Oh,
immediately when they call
Oh,
you.
oh,
They're
oh,
like,
oh,
oh,
oh.
thinking about buying
I think like
something.
we're presenting deals,
Yeah,
we got that time to sign.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
So, depending on how much time you put into lead genning every day, like if you haven't done anything since the beginning of the year, you're starting today fresh, you're not gonna get paid for a while. Probably 3 months. That's usually what they say, 3 months out. The work you do today will show up in 90 days.
This year, I started that months and months and months and months.
Yes,
months ago.
yes.
Finally happened.
Yes. I had one close last year in May from an open house I had the previous June. And I mean, that was, she finally was, one day she was finally like, I'm free, and that was, I mean, almost a year of follow-up, so. But you're not like, my point is, it's not immediate.
Right.
So whatever the work you put in today is gonna show up in 90 days. So there's gonna be days where your mindset is like, I don't feel like it. I'm gonna go dog park instead. I'm gonna go jazzercise, and then I'm gonna go to the store, I'm gonna do all the things except what I need to do. And it doesn't have to be, your lead gen can look how you want it to look. But you have to be consistent with it. That is my word for the year, is being consistent. In all things. But lead gen is really important to be consistent, because if you don't do the things, you don't get paid. And we're all in this business to get paid, right? Like, of course, we want to have relationships and we want to do the right thing and all those, but we're still here to get paid. It's a job. So if you don't show up and do the things, you're not getting paid. So it can't be stressed enough to how important it is that you develop your skills in these areas so that you can get paid and be successful in this business. So what are you gonna do every day? What's the first thing you're gonna do every day?
Legion,
Yes.
wait up. Fix off. Then the.
You're gonna have your coffee maker set at 6 a.m. You're gonna lead gen every day. What else we didn't really talk about. Well, I'll just say it now. You're gonna build your database. Because your database is your, what do you call it? Your data bank. Yes, that's the thing. Database. Data bank. Yes.
Oh.
Yes. Because approximately 10% of the people, am I saying this right? 10% of the people in your database either know somebody or need a realtor within the next year. So if you think about how many contacts you have 300 contacts. You have 30 people in your database that are either gonna need to move or know somebody need to move.
That's why everybody needs to have at least 200 people in their data bank at all times.
Yep, so you should theoretically, if you have that many people in your database, you should do 200, you should do 20 transactions a year if you keep up with your database. So you want to lead gen every day and you want to build your database every day. I have a, like a thing I made, because I'm a teacher dork. And it's my standards for the week and what I need to do every day to meet the standards. And in the little bottom corner, like I have daily and then I have weekly, in the little bottom corner, I have add 10 contacts to my database every week. And that's kind of low at this point, but it's a standard I want to hold myself accountable to, because if you're not growing it, you're missing out.
Right.
And as many people as I talk to, there's no reason I should not be growing my database by 10 people every week. So, okay, you're gonna communicate with your people every day about real estate. You're gonna commit to go on a lot of appointments. A lot is a relative term. Because a lot to me may be 10. A lot to Jill may be 2, I don't know, whatever. You need to figure out how many appointments is your standard. What are you gonna do every week to continue to build your business or to make your business be successful? You have to commit to an actual number. And if it's Friday and it's 5 o'clock and you haven't gotten there, what are you gonna do to fix it?
Hey, Cheyenne, can I jump
Please.
in real quick?
Please.
So this is why it's so important that we set goals and we understand truly the why behind the goal, right? When Gary Keller said on stage at Family Reunion a couple of years ago, that when you don't know what your goal is, everything seems like a good idea. And it kind of clicked to me, right? Because I had a coach at the time who called me a professional dabbler, because I would find the new shiny cool thing to go and do in order to lead generate.
Yep.
Right? Rather than picking up the phone and doing the thing I was supposed to be doing, I'd be like, yeah, but did you hear? If I throw housewarming parties, everyone will come to a housewarming party and then I don't have to make the calls, made the connections. He's like, are you going to throw a housewarming party every day? What can you commit to as your 3 to 4 types of lead generation, and just commit to those until you see a result?
Yep.
So yeah, it really comes down to, you have to know what your goal is truly before you can start to determine how many appointments you need to go on each week.
Yep.
I realized what my goal was, and I realized I needed to go on at least one real appointment, not like preview appointment, not like meet and greet appointment, but like real appointment every single week. Because even if I was bad at my job at that point, right? And I wasn't, maybe I wasn't up on all my scripts and maybe I wasn't converting every single thing. Even then, I'm not going to work every week of the year, right? Maybe I'm going to take a few weeks off. And if that's the case, once I start to look at that, I'm like, okay, great. I'm going to take a couple weeks off. That's 50 appointments a year. Even if I stink at my job and I'm only converting at 50%, I am now still going to get 25 customers in a year. And when you start to break down the numbers like that, it makes sense.
Yep.
But that one appointment a week felt much more doable than 25 closings in a year.
Yes, yes, 1000%. Breaking it down is huge. I love that. And you can go further than that. If you don't have numbers yet to go on, you can say, okay, the average contact to close is, I think it's up to like 125 at this point. So you need 125 contacts to get to a closing, right? It used to be about 100, and I know in the fall and the winter it went up, and it might go back down a little bit. But even if it's 100 for you, let's say that means if you want to have one closing every week, which everybody would love that, right? You need to make 100 contacts every week. Okay, how many calls is that a day? And then you could just keep going backward. How many calls can I make in and out? How many, like, you can go that far back if that helps you. So when I was talking about the business planning clinic yesterday, the Gene Rivers one, he takes you through this. So what I love about it is that he takes you through, what do you want for your life? What are you gonna spend money on? What do you have to survive? What do you want to do with investing, getting out of debt and all this stuff? It's called your lid. Lifestyle, investing and debt. What are those three numbers? Now, and then he funnels all the way down to how many calls you need to make a day. And he will walk you through the whole thing. And it's free. It's on KW Connect. Gene Rivers, he's amazing. Highly recommend it to help you kind of go backward. Okay, there's one more thing that you have to do every day that we haven't really, we talked a little bit about the other day. But you have to practice your conversations so that you are comfortable when you are in the moment. And like I said before, when we have a PC group that's in here every day, we're gonna practice from 9:30 to 10 every day, and anybody is welcome. So, yeah. Oh, let's see. Okay, so here's another quote from Shift. If you have not read Shift, I highly recommend it. Gary Keller book. To achieve your highest potential, these 6 core competencies must be done consistently, and done well. Okay, and it's really like, that kind of is your job description as a realtor, in my opinion, right? That's your job description. So, okay, ahas, anybody? Want to share something brilliant that they've learned? Besides, you should have your coffee ready at 6 a.m.
It's pretty good.
It's a great way to start your day. Look at my face.
Gene Rivers.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's a big one. So is it the MRA one or is it the pivot shift your perspective one?
no, it's business cleaning clinic.
But there it is.
Yep,
Yeah.
it's long. I think it's a 2-day thing.
Yeah.
Totally worth it.
And Gene Rivers isn't the only person that teaches it. If you go to the KW website, you're able to see all of the instructors for it. I will tell you, I've taken it with lots of different people. He is the best one.
Agreed.
Just because he's super charming and super fun to listen to, and
He takes you
kind
from a huge picture all the way down.
Yeah. yeah, he has this way of boiling everything down.
Yep.
So if you get an opportunity to take it with Gene Rivers, even if it's not within your region, it is absolutely 100% worth the travel to do that. It can change your business.
Yep. Okay. All right, let's move on. Okay, so let's talk about recognizing your role as a fiduciary for your clients. I know Michael hit really hard on this the other day. That we have fiduciary duties like lawyers and, you know, people with like high level degrees. Because we are messing with people's money. I think we lose sight of that sometimes because we are in it every day and we just kind of go through the motions. But this is a huge deal for people. Some people are only going to buy one house in their life.
Mhm.
Some people have never had a family member that had owned a home. These are, okay, so a little bit of my background again. I was in special ed for a while, my whole career. And I have dealt with literally all ends of the spectrum of people. I have dealt with, because I also worked for First Steps, which is developmental therapy for babies to 3-year-old babies that need a little help getting their development right. So I went into homes with people and I've seen all kinds. But so that always enters my mind when I'm dealing with people who like, they can only afford $100,000 house. But maybe they're the first people in their family to buy a house. Like this is a huge deal. So when we talk about fiduciary duties, it is a big deal. It is a big deal because it is. Okay. Okay. I thought it was gonna say similar about that. I might have gone too far. Okay, well, let's imagine doing business with a company For example, a car repair company that just doesn't really care about your needs. Everybody's experienced that, right? Especially as a female, just saying, they tend to take advantage of women who think that we're dumb and we don't know what we're talking about, and we'll be like, don't know. So they don't build a relationship with you, they don't stay in touch, they don't care. Now, let's imagine doing business with a different car company, car repair company, because everybody's been to good ones and bad ones, right? This one listens to you. They don't say, you're a stupid woman, you don't know anything. They anticipate your needs. They help you make decisions. They educate you on the process, like, your car is going to need this eventually, but it doesn't right this minute. Right? They act like a partner in the process, they keep you updated. They call you and say, the part's not in yet. It will be here on Tuesday. You don't have to call them and say, where is my car? Like, that's a big deal, right? And they even follow up with you after the job, how's your car running? I'm not sure I've ever really dealt with a car company that great,
Yeah. So it's like, no.
but, I mean, you get my point. So what's the difference? How do you feel with the first one versus how do you feel with the second one? So the first company is functional. They're just doing what they have to do. But the second company is acting as your fiduciary. They're looking out for your best interests. They're doing what they can to help you. They're anticipating your needs. They're doing all the things that we need to do for our clients. Okay, in the MREA book, Gary Keller explains a functionary job is one who is in specific task relationships with their clients. They do the job. That's it. They just do it. Well, the fiduciary is the one who not only does the tasks of the job, but they're also in a high trust relationship with the clients, and they feel total responsibility for the outcome. So a lot of us, not everybody has been here, has been an agent long enough to have like horrible things happen. Right? Hopefully, hopefully most of us have had good positive experiences. But sometimes things happen and they're out of your control. And how do you feel when those things happen? That's what I want to ask. Who's had a horrible experience and how have you felt with a client? Anybody?
Cheyenne, I have so many that I can't
Pick
begin
one.
to tell
Pick the
you.
worst.
So recently I had a customer that I was working with who was referred to me by a very trusted colleague. And that should have been my first red flag. Because why wouldn't he?
Why aren't they working with them?
Right? But I was just like, thank you so much. I'm happy to help. Da 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 da. $700,000 house. Let's do this.
Yeah.
Right. Met with the couple, great people. You know, have a really great conversation. And we really get the house under contract with another KW agent. It felt too good to be true. And it absolutely was. Because what I learned is that I didn't have the right conversations with them up front because they were a referral from a trusted colleague.
So you assumed that she had had the conversations.
I made assumptions. Yeah.
Yeah.
And we know what happens when we assume.
Yep.
I'll own that. That was my bad. The husband in the couple, I think thought I was the dumbest person on the planet. Pretty sure. And it got to a point that because there was a lack of respect there, he spoke to me in a way that like I typically do not tolerate. But once again, it was a referral and I'm like, I don't want to look bad. I'm going to do this. I'm going to hold this whole thing together. In retrospect, there's many, many, many different ways I should have handled it. But I'm saying this to remind all of you that no matter how long you are in this business, you will be learning constantly. And oftentimes the learning happens in hindsight. I teach these classes all the time, and I made mistakes in the moment that I tell other people not to make. So if anything, my advice here is as you're learning these things and as you're dealing with difficult customers, remember, we teach people how to treat us.
Oh,
Mhm.
And I taught them from the beginning that I would allow him to speak to me that way.
yeah,
So why would anything else in the transaction be different?
yep,
He's not going to just learn to respect me later. Okay. Cheetahs don't change their spots.
yeah,
We know that. So you have to set the tone in the transaction from the very beginning and teach them how to treat you with respect.
yep.
There you
Yep.
go.
Thank you for that. That's a hard lesson, but even though he was kind of a turd, you still felt like an immense responsibility, right? Because you're their fiduciary. That's what I was tying it all back. Like, even though the transaction went sour, you still feel all the things because you are acting as their fiduciary.
I still did everything that was within their best interest,
Yes.
financially, personally, all of those things. And still, end of the day, did I send that man a Christmas card? I did, because I'm a bigger person.
That's
Um,
right.
Shouldn't have. Do you know what? I'm gonna be the bigger person. That's my goal in 2024. Send him the Christmas card. And the person who referred him to me came to me and said, I don't know how you dealt with that guy. He's pretty terrible. I'm gonna send you more business.
Thanks for the heads up.
Sure.
Come on.
Why didn't you tell me he was a jerk to begin with? But you know what? You're gonna
Seriously.
send me more business because I handled this properly. So
That's
this is a way to, once again, remind yourself that sometimes it's worth it. Sometimes there is gold at the end of that,
Yeah,
right?
yep,
And it's because I still treated them with that care, that candor, and all of the things that are necessary to come to be a professional and be a fiduciary. And I know my colleagues saw that despite all the other things.
yeah, absolutely. Yep. So being a fiduciary is a big deal. It's an honor. It's more important today in this market, especially with all these people running around going, this is easy, I'm gonna do this. They get their license, they slap a sign in the yard, and they're like, yeah, well, it's fine, you know. It's super important to wear that badge of honor. All right, helping your clients understand your fiduciary role is a big part of what you offer as an agent. So when you're creating your value proposition on Friday, if you haven't already done it, put that in there. Make sure they understand, like, I have to do my due diligence with you. I have to, what are the fiduciary duties? Old car, what are they? Come on,
Be easy enough.
obedience. With, you have to follow their directions within the law. Loyalty, yes, you are loyal to them. Disclosure,
Confidentiality.
confidentiality,
Accountability.
accountability, and
Appreciate it.
reasonable care, that's right. So remind them of those, put that in your value proposition. I don't think everybody knows that. Actually, I know not everybody knows that. Not everybody knows that we actually, yes, perfect. Is that your listing presentation?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah, we're listening to the.
perfect. Great listing, that's a great place to put
I
it.
think it's,
What?
I think it's in our listing.
Yeah, remind them, tell them again, tell them what you told them, okay. So that is a big part of what you offer as an agent. Okay, it wants me to divide attendees into 5 groups. Yeah, probably not.
I split myself out of ways. It might get weird, but.
Well, I think they want us to like hone in more on the functional versus fiduciary, but I feel like we kind of get it, right? Feel like we preached on that enough. Okay. Okay, aha. Anybody have an aha about being the fiduciary?
Well, you know, I got kind of the same thing with Beth, that I come from lending, 35 years in banking. And that was a lot of it too.
Yeah.
Because my last position, I was with Cumberland Credit Union in Franklin, I was over all the loan officers. And we could tell when calls were coming in, who they were. Well, we had this one guy, and they saw his name come up, and they're like, oh, no, no, I'm not talking to him. Ben, you're our boss,
Yep, you can pay the big bucks.
you get it. And I was like, well, tell me about it. Well, he's a
Not nice, he's a turd.
And he, not nice, he's gonna be rude to you. And I thought, really? Okay. So I called him back. Cheyenne, hey, this is Ben, how are you today? You know, blah, 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 and just was as sweet as I could be, because I knew how he's gonna be. We were best buds,
Interesting.
and cause I knew where he was going. And I just kept, you know, just being normal, but you know,
Yeah.
knowing the background, and then after that, you know, I assigned him to one of the loan officers, and I said, just treat him with respect. You know how he's gonna be. Came in, got him done. But they were like, how did you change it? I didn't
You changed your approach.
change the approach, and we knew what to expect, and he never raised his voice.
That's a great point.
I mean, and it's just, we knew up front.
Yep. That's a great point. And I feel like reading people in this profession is a huge thing.
Yeah.
Right?
And I can tell you, so I worked at Disney for many, many years, and one of
Yeah, that's
the
right.
roles I had there was within guest relations. Okay, so our job was to deal with all the complaints that made Disney World less than magical. Okay, one of the training pieces they always told us is we don't see things the way they are, we see things the way we are. So if we want the situation to be better, we have to be better. We have to change our mindset going into it. This person isn't difficult necessarily. This person has a problem and we have the ability to fix it,
I love that.
right? So I don't know how many times I've been screamed at. I've had people threaten me, all of these things over a Walt Disney World vacation. But you have to remember, to us, we were like, it's Disney World, calm down. To them, this might have been their life savings,
Yep.
Yeah.
And they're
their
only.
whole life savings.
Yep.
And so to us, we came there every day, we got immune to it. And it was very easy to want to tell them to just pound sand, like, get out.
Right.
Universal's down the street. If you don't like it, have a nice day. I'll draw
Right.
you a map.
But that's not the Disney name.
No, and that's and that is what actually helped our customer service stand apart. And still to this day, so many people use Disney sort of as a benchmark in terms of customer service and training for customer service. And truly, here's the sauce behind the magic. They tell us to just change the way we're thinking about the situation.
Yep.
Don't think about what they're saying. Think about why they're saying what they're saying.
Yep.
Put yourself in their shoes. And really, the training is about teaching people empathy,
Yes.
right? If
Yes.
we can be empathetic with our customers, we can make anything happen.
Yep.
We just
Yep.
have to, once again, stop what we're doing and not see it the way that it is right now. See it, look internally and go, why am I viewing it this way? What is going on with this person? And what's going on with me that's making me view it this way?
Yep. I love that. A lot of my training in my previous life has to do with all of this. Kids throwing tantrums about things they can't control. Okay, it's not just a 5-year-old throwing a tantrum. It is a 5-year-old that hasn't eaten. He's overstimulated. He hasn't had any movement today. He's cold. Whatever, all the things. So instead of just looking at it as this kid is just being a turd throwing a tantrum, how can I help him come back to this realm of thinking? What can I do to make his life a little bit easier in that moment? Just so he can come back to me and then we can have a conversation about what's wrong. And I mean, that happens with clients. I had a client throw a all-out tantrum because she's older, she's a friend of mine's mom. It was a hot mess. Anyway, she thought I sent her an emoji splat. Like, I don't even know what that is. It's just a little shape. So we were texting about whatever. We were already under contract. She was a little delusional also, which is fine. She's old. I would want someone to treat my mom with the same respect and dignity as I treated her. So I called her to talk about whatever was happening, and she went on and on about how rude I was and how disrespectful I was because I sent her this emoji splat that she actually sent me. And I was like, I'm really sorry, but I don't know what you're talking about. And I'm really sorry if I ever gave you the impression that I would be disrespectful to you, because I would never do that. I mean, it was so bad, I had to call her daughter and get her daughter involved, which I tried hard to keep her out of it, because she wasn't part of the contract. But I had to call her daughter and we had to have a little meeting, and I had to physically show her with my phone that I did not send her anything. Like, I would not, she sent it to me, and I assumed that it was a mistake. Because I would not think that she would send me something hateful, and it wasn't hateful, it's just flat, like. But in that moment, she was so mad because she thought I was being disrespectful, and instead of flying off the handle and be like, lady, you're crazy. I took some empathy with her, and I was like, okay, she thinks I'm being rude, how can I fix this? And we barely got through, she threw a tantrum at closing too, but anyway, you have to train your brain to think about, okay, in this moment, they're stressed, buying a house, selling a house is stressful, how can I help them fix this? So, anyway, we could go on all day, I'm sure. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so let's review the success system. So we talked a little bit about, oh, well, let's read this first. Nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads you have. So this kind of goes back to, you have to know what your numbers are. You have to know how many leads you need, how many calls you need to make, how many closings, you have to know all that. We learned that the first core competency is lead generation. So without leads, you got nothing. You don't have a business if you don't have leads. In the MREA book, Gary Keller says, what you have to embrace is the fact that it is the number of qualified leads you have that will either grow your business, keep your business, or put you out of business. Nothing else about your business will have as big of an impact on it as the number of leads you have. So why do you think cultivating leads are so essential to the success of your business? Think about it for 2 seconds. I need water. The office is right there. Why do you think cultivating leads is so essential to the success of your business?
The more leads you have, the more points you said, the more points you said, the more closing you get, and then it just keeps going up.
Yes, absolutely. Everybody hear him? Yep, good. Okay. Yeah, it's the core of your business. If you don't have leads, you got nothing. Although lead generation and lead follow-up are the most important priorities you have when running and growing a thriving business, sometimes they do feel uncomfortable, right? Yes. Sometimes you get hung up on. Sometimes you don't know what to say and you fumble on your words, especially as a new agent. Feeling at ease when you talk to people you know and don't know about how you can help them with their real estate needs is a skill, which is why you need to practice, and it takes time to develop. One of the best ways to feel more comfortable communicating with potential leads is by role playing and practicing the most common conversations you will have with your clients, potential clients, and other agents involved in a real estate transaction. So it's imperative to have accountability in place to support your consistency in lead generation and lead follow-up. I listen to Pivot Shift Ahead all the time because I'm a big James Shaw fan. He's amazing, and I love the positivity of the group. So if you are not on Pivot Shift Ahead, I highly recommend it because they're all about ideas. How can we help you? No negativity. We're not here to complain. It's amazing. Anyway, so I was listening to that, and he was talking about how you don't just need to practice conversations when it's time to practice conversations. He's like, call each other and be like, hey, I want to buy this house, but blah, blah, like make up objections. Just call people. Don't say, hey, you want to practice with me? Just call them and state an objection. And because you're not ready, that will help you in your conversations kind of figure out what to say and go through it. But the more you practice things like that, the better you're going to get when people do throw objections at you, because it's not always planned, right? I actually want to start an improv day also with PC. I listened to something about that the other day, and truth be told, when I was little, my dad owned a theater. I know, really surprising, right? I'm very animated. So my dad owned a theater, and we got to be in all the plays. So improv was part of our life for a long time because that's just what you did. You just did improv all the time. But improv will help your ability to think quickly about what you can say and say it with confidence. And I think that's a huge part of what we're doing. You can't just blurt out the first thing that comes to your mind. You have to be able to know what to say, or when to say, you know what, I'm not really sure, but I would love to find out for you, because it's okay not to know all the answers. Nobody wants to know it. Tell
Yeah,
me.
Cheyenne, I also have a degree in theater. So, and within an improv group in college. And what I can tell you is that at the time when I told my father, who is a business person, also is licensed in real estate in the state of Michigan, not a fantastic realtor, not gonna lie, learned that later in life. But what I can tell you is that when I told him I wanted to be in theater, and I wanted to go to college for theater, initially he wasn't on board. He made lots of jokes about me majoring in waitressing and da 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 da.
Interesting is a great way to improv too.
Yeah.
Just saying.
But over time, he was completely on board. And honestly, the mindset shift was. So I asked him one day and he goes, I realized that you learning to think on your feet is going to be the most invaluable thing in your entire life.
Yes.
And truthfully, it really is. And my joke now always is, I'm like, oh yeah, I can act like I know what I'm talking about all the time.
Yeah.
But truthfully, that it really is helpful in our sales business to be able to think on our feet. And really a lot of it comes with confidence, right? And that confidence only comes from, once again, that consistency, that repetition of doing the activity of practicing those conversations. And I know that we're trying to get away from the word script. I get it. It's not a script is something you learn word for word, right? These are never were supposed to be scripts.
No.
They never were.
No.
You take in that information and it's really about being able to regurgitate it in a way that gets that message across so you can never get the conversation wrong. It's not about learning it so you get the script right every time. It's so you don't get the conversation wrong later.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a great way to put it. I love it. Well, when you get here, we'll have to have like improv Fridays or something. Everybody from
I love
Elvis
that.
can come in.
That'll be so fun. Let's do it.
Maybe we could do it like 5 o'clock and turn it into a happy hour. Then it'd be really fun. Okay, where are we? Yeah, let's see. Okay, so we were talking about having accountability in place. Accountable people achieve results others can only dream of. In the first session of Ignite, we introduced the 6 personal perspectives, which we already went over. So we're going to elaborate a little bit on the 6th one, which is being accountable. So this quote, accountability is a crucial part of achieving your goals.
Good.
Jill, killing me, Smalls. Okay, lots of train. When you report to someone else on your progress, you gain more focus and motivation. And I think that, well, I'll finish this. Think of accountability as a process. It is difficult to maintain drive over the long term, but when you must defend yourself on your activities to an objective observer, it becomes easier to stay focused. Accountability is about getting and implementing feedback. You must take a time on a regular planned basis, to meet with whoever's holding you accountable, to look at your numbers, and to refocus your efforts. So I think a really important word in this is objective. An accountability partner isn't there to judge you. They are there to help you. And it doesn't have to be, I mean, coaching is great, right? But coaching is expensive and not everybody's at that level yet. But the accountability piece is important for you to just have to say to another human being, I only made 5 calls today and I didn't practice any scripts or conversations. And when you say it out loud and you hear it, you're like, oh my gosh, I only had 5 conversations today. The other person is gonna say, great, What are you gonna do tomorrow? Like, how are you gonna fix it? What can you do to make, what's your goal? Why do you think you didn't meet your goal? Hopefully your accountability partner will ask questions to help you kind of self-discover why you only made 5 calls. How can you do it better? If you don't have one, I highly recommend getting one. I'm happy to be your accountability partner. I just think it's super important that you have somebody that you can call every day, same time, and say, I did this, or I did this yesterday, this is my plan for today. So that you have somebody else who's objective saying, great, how are you gonna get that done?
Can I tell you who the best accountability partner I've ever had was?
Please,
My son.
your son,
Mhm.
okay,
At the time, he was 5 years old, and I promised him that if I reached my goals, we were gonna go on a Disney cruise. Do you think he asked me every single day how I was doing?
bet he did,
Do you know how hard it was to look my kid square in the eyes and tell him I didn't do what I said I was gonna do that day?
right?
Yeah, it was hard. So
Um,
if you ever want to be even just guilted into doing your job, tell your kids what you're gonna do and attach something to it. And I'm gonna tell you that they will hold you accountable in a way nobody else can.
So, funny story, and I don't know that I told this group this, my husband decided the other day that we're going on an Alaskan cruise this summer. Okay. We're supposed to do it next summer, because that's what my kid will be a senior and that's what he wants for his trip. So my husband gets online the other day and plans this whole Alaskan trip. Like the boat, the ports, the days, what we're doing on our excursions, gets the kids involved. They're all like 3 kids. I don't know if you know anything about 3 kids, but they cannot all get along ever. Unless they have a common theme, like Christmas or an Alaskan cruise. So I'm like, I'm sitting on the couch kind of giggling at him, but he's getting the kids really excited and involved. And I'm like, so this is like a next summer thing. And he's like, all mom has to do is sell $1 million house. Kids are like, come on, mom, it's not that hard. Okay, so the 9-year-old Max, who is something. He is the 3rd kid to the nth degree. The next morning, he's like, Mom, you gonna sell $1 million house today? I said, yeah, buddy, go to school and tell all your friends that if they need a house, they better call me. All right, he went to school and told all his friends. So every day he's like, Mom, sell $1 million house. Sell $1 million house yet, Mom? Come on, Mom, it's not that hard. So you're so right, because kids are ruthless. They don't care. They don't care if they offend you. I should just make him my accountability partner.
There was one day that Henry was just like, well, Mom, I guess if you don't want to do this, that's okay. He was like all like, sad about it. And I was like, oh God, I'm gonna call 1 million people tomorrow. I'm so sorry.
Oh,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
You know what?
Best accountability partner.
It's just not your 8-year-olds. It's so funny because I got a text this morning from my 28-year-old that lives in Alabama. And Huntsville, and we go down there and see him. Anyway, once every 4 or 5 weeks. He sends me a text this morning and says, Mom, Dad, I found you a house down here. Great. 1.4 million.
Oh, okay, sure.
Is that gonna be my every house I go to every 4 weeks in Huntsville, Alabama? He said, what was his comment?
Just sell $1 million house.
Dad, are you selling anything yet? That is the funniest thing
Come on.
that just happened.
Something hard, just do it.
Yeah.
Gosh.
There's no we can get away in Huntsville.
That's not that hard.
That's funny. That's so funny that just happened. Yeah, that's what I was gonna show.
Kids are ruthless, doesn't matter how old they are, right? Okay.
Thanks so much. Confidence.
Okay, so speaking of accountability, so let's talk about choosing a partner. You need to provide a safe place to share. You need to follow through with your action items. You need to listen and pay attention while the other person shares. Don't be dealing with your kids when you're trying to script and role play or listen to what they're gonna do. Like, just put that anywhere. Have a set time that is dedicated to that, because that, I mean, you want that from them too. So be the kind of partner that you want other people to see in you. Okay, set a frequency of checking in with each other. I would recommend every day, at least every weekday. And we learned a lot of this in Bold, right? So you can say your affirmations for the day. You can say what you did the day before, what you're gonna do that day, and then you can practice a quick conversation. And it doesn't have to be a plan, it can be like, hey, I'm going door knocking today, and I just wanna practice what I'm gonna say to people, so I don't sound like an idiot. Right? So dig deep to find out why you do the things you do, that is, if you don't know your why, I mean, we're going on an Alaskan cruise, so that's a big why, right? Actually, truth be told, my why is really, really big. I want to get my husband where he doesn't have to coach anymore. So that means I have to take over his income and mine, which is big. That's really big. So that's a big why, right? That's a lot of motivation. But you have to be able to dig deep with this person, whoever you're going to do this with, which means you have to trust them so that you can tell them your big, like your real why, not just you sell 50 houses this year. Why? You have to have a lot of respect for each other in the process and create a commitment and stick to it. Don't be the person that, God, I know I said this, but my accountability person in Bold was not great. It was really hard to talk to. He didn't answer a lot of the time. I left him, like, I would just leave my stuff on his voicemail. Like, that's not doing me any good. So if you're gonna commit to this with somebody, please do it. Don't be flaky. And you also have to be really open to receiving feedback. They are not there to tell you every tiny little thing you're doing wrong, but if they hear something and they make a suggestion, there's probably a reason for it. And there's 1,000 different variations to conversations, right? But they might have a perspective that you don't. So you have to be open to the feedback. You can't be the know-it-all. Nobody likes the know. And give specific feedback when you are listening, instead of, oh, that was great. Like, you could say, I really like the way you handled it when I said X, so that they know exactly what points they really need to focus on. And then have each other's best interests in mind. I mean, that's just a given. We're gonna do all things with integrity, right? No matter who we're dealing with. Okay, is that it? Is there more? Nope, sorry, I can't really see that part. Oh, what does it sound about this? Okay, so it wants us to choose an accountability partner in here. There's not that many people. On the KW Bluegrass app that Jeffrey has created, which is the most amazing thing. And if you're not on it, please get on it and stop trying to send messages through Crew. Everybody's contact information is on there. So if you know somebody that you want to be your accountability partner, you have not chosen one, whatever, you can get everybody's information on there. Their name, their email, their phone number on that app. So there's zero excuse to not have an accountability partner. And I know I said this the other day, but honestly, doing the PC for me is the best accountability I could ever have, because I have to wake up, show up, and dress up every day. I have to be here. And then teaching is like knowing it times 1,000, right? So for me, PC is my accountability, and it's amazing. And apparently my 9-year-old, because we're going on the last weekend. So okay, so let's talk about success systems tracker. I know we talked about this a little bit the other day. This is a standard that is not that hard to follow, but you really need to set your standards for what your goals are. Sorry, I'm thinking. Whatever you decide you need to do every day, I mean, this is a great start, but hold yourself accountable. There's a quote written on a board in my room that says, When something is truly a standard, it is a commitment. So if you have a standard for what you're gonna do every day, you're gonna do 10 conversations, 10 contacts added, 10 handwritten notes, which is a lot. And the social media engagement, you're gonna do it, that is your commitment. You do not stop working until those things are done. That is what a commitment is, right? On Pivot Shift Ahead, they have something called the 5 PM protocol, where if you have whatever your standards are for the day, and it's 5 o'clock and you haven't hit it yet, these are the things you can do quickly to meet your goals. So I highly recommend looking that up, 5 PM protocol. It's really cool. Okay, so 10 conversations every day. That doesn't have to be 10 phone calls. You can have conversations with people, like I go to the dog park and I have several leads from the dog park because I talk and I wear realtor shirts a lot because I make them, that's it. But you can go to your kids' events and have conversations. You can do open houses and have conversations. You can door knock people or pack up, whatever. There's lots of ways to have conversations. You do have to make phone calls, like that's just part of the business, right? You have to. You can't go without talking to people. But the conversations are, you just have to have, so 10 a day. This has 10 contacts added. Maybe that's doable for you, maybe that's not. I would try to add contacts every day. Mine is 10 a week. Yeah, 10 handwritten notes. You could do birthday cards, you could do anniversary cards. It doesn't have to be like, hey, I was just thinking about you. It can be, everybody likes to get mail, right? It can be cards from open houses. Hey, it's really great to meet you. I look forward to working with you. It can be a card to your kids' teachers, right? I really appreciate you. Teachers need all the love, right? Actually do treats for teachers every month or two, and they really appreciate it. And someday I'll get business from it, but if not, it makes my heart happy to,
That's good.
you know what I mean? So like, anyway, that's just part of my pillars. And then social media engagement is huge, even if they only just see your face. It's huge. They see you, oh, it'll be annoying. But if you make 10 comments, that is engagement for you, not 10 likes. Nobody cares about likes. Make 10 comments, 5, this is what we decided the other day, 10 comments, 5 direct messages, which can be, oh my gosh, I saw your picture the other day of you and your kids. You look like you're so happy. I'm really happy for you. I don't know, something like that.
It's gonna be like more than 8 words or 5 words or something like that for it to
Yeah.
actually count in the algorithm. We went over this like a while ago. It's got
Yeah.
So many words.
Yeah, there's algorithms out there. You can look them up about the time of day to post,
Mhm.
what to comment, all that kind of stuff. And then one post, social or personal or professional. I would recommend a combination. Not everybody wants to see your real estate stuff every day. They just don't. They want to get to know you as a human being because they want to know they're working with a human being. So, and then enrichments, what other kinds of things are you gonna do? Anybody want to share some other things they do besides these? Maybe not every day, but like monthly, you have events. Do you take treats to teachers? Do you take treats to firefighters? What do you do? Anybody? Give us some great ideas.
I can tell you what I do at Christmas time.
Great.
So I've done a couple of different things at Christmas, but one of that has been the most popular and was backed by popular demand many years in a row, is that I would deliver for the first 2 weeks of December. I would deliver a small gift to every single one of my customers. Now, my gift never cost more than about $1.50. Okay. But I would dress like an elf.
I love it. So fun.
And people loved getting videos of me on their Ring doorbells.
I love that.
And I had a little Bluetooth speaker that I would clip on my belt, and it would play Christmas music, and I would do a little dance in their camera, and I'd leave them their little gifts. And there was one year I did not do that. I just sent everyone a Christmas card with like a little Starbucks card in it, thinking I was just getting out easy. I got calls from my customers going, where are you? We look forward to this.
That's so,
So, people appreciate if you make an idiot of yourself.
Yep, they do.
Love that.
It's totally true.
But more than anything, they just loved that they knew that they could count on seeing that every year. And I think what we forget is that we do become part of our customers' lives.
Mhm.
We don't see ourselves always as a staple in their world, but we have done something very important for them.
Yeah.
And when we don't show back up, that's a big deal.
You got commission breath.
They
You'll have to
feel
just
like
in it for
we've
the money.
abandoned them,
Yeah. Yeah.
right? So, but when we stop treating people like people and we start treating them like transactions,
Yep.
that is when first of all, our business isn't going to grow because our business should be growing organically from referrals from those customers.
Mhm.
But beyond that, now we've almost created a sense of animosity, like we let them down.
Yep.
So it doesn't have to be a lot, but those pop buys meant the world to those folks.
Yeah.
So you don't have to dress like an elf and dress like an idiot. I did, and my customers appreciated it. I'll be the first person to make myself look stupid. I'm down for it.
Same.
But I think that you can find what's organic to you in
Yes.
terms of that.
Yes. I love that. And like, I take teachers treats because I was a teacher and I know how much it's appreciated. And I started when I was teaching, and I would just, for like Halloween and Thanksgiving, I made treats because I love to make stuff. So I would make treats and just put a little note on it with my information. And now they're accustomed to it. And if I don't bring it for a while, they're like, what you bringing us? Where's our treats? So since I've gotten out of teaching at that school, I mean, I think my first 2 years, half my business came from that school. So I'm gonna continue to do it because it helps my business, but I also love it. It makes me so happy. So that's one of the activities I do is treats to teachers. And now I do that school, my son's elementary school, and my daughter's middle school. And the middle school I hit hard because we're there for 9 straight years. Yeah.
Wow.
So if y'all don't have kids and you're family planning, you think about that. How many years of middle school are you gonna have in a row? Whew, it's a lot. Anyway, but the teachers there all know me and they love me, and so I hit that school hard. One of the other big things I do is I do open house bags. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, but I make koozies. I put koozies in there and a pen and a magnet and a little coupon for home equity analysis. And I take that with me to open houses, and that helps sets me apart a little bit.
Mhm.
I do events. I try to do events quarterly. I do the homebuyer seminar, which have not been super successful, but we are continuing on. And we are gonna make it successful at some point. Even if you only get a couple people there, it's still better than nothing. So I do those, and anyway, find what works for you, like Beth said, and make that part of your success system.
I think I like to learn. I'm a total guy.
Yeah.
But I do like candles. And I can pick
Okay.
out pillows, so I do this.
Okay,
But I don't know how to do events. And that's why I think I'm working with Jen and the team is like, I wanna do events. I just don't know how to do them.
yeah,
I see them and I can like, okay, it'd be cool to get a group of people here. And then he goes, shoot, it's like
Yeah.
I shut the door, I'm like, well, how do I do this?
yeah,
It's just the craziest thing, but just something simple as taking treats to teachers.
Yeah.
Firefighters, policemen,
yeah.
it's something that I would know to do, but somebody's gotta remind me, hey,
You gotta be consistent with it.
yeah.
It doesn't have to be every month. It's so time consuming because I make it,
Mhm.
because I'm extra. Which,
I think the important thing to remember too about events is it's not about the event or the attendance at the event.
right,
It's about the calling and inviting people to the event, the reminding people about the event, the
Yeah.
follow-up after the event. And truly then even, especially like with a home buyer seminar, we've done them and had great turnouts, and sometimes nobody shows up, right?
Yep.
You don't know. It just is what it is.
Yep.
One time we accidentally scheduled it for like the day before a hurricane. We didn't know it was coming. It did, and there we are, trying to teach people to buy houses as their houses are being blown away the next day. It's the good luck of real estate, right? But what we learned from that is we got so much business by just calling and telling people about the event.
Yep.
And then following up afterwards and going, hey, listen, this is what we talked about at the event. I know you weren't able to make it. I just wanted to give you a quick overview of what that was. And then a few weeks later going, hey, I thought about something else that happened at this event that connected with something we spoke about. But this also goes back to when we're having conversations, really making sure we know who our customers are and taking really good notes about what they're interested in, right? And knowing our data bank so well that we know what's going to appeal to them, because we can once again draw those scripts, if you will, from those conversations from those events. And it doesn't matter if a single person showed up, right? But we can draw those conversations from that.
Yep. I wanted to say one more event. I started Grinchmas last year.
Yeah, I'm gonna go if you do.
And it was not like the event itself, I didn't have tons of people, but I had tons of conversations around it. And honestly, it was really fun because I made my whole family help. And my 16-year-old dressed up as the Grinch, and because he is totally the Grinch. And it was so fun for my family. Like, real estate was a bonus because the kids, like my middle child helped with the little kids and did little kid activities. And my 9-year-old served hot chocolate, and my husband was, whatever. He was a photographer, but like that was huge. And there were so many conversations around it, and I got to post a lot on social media. And actually I had one client come in that I met 2 years ago at my own garage sale, and they're finally ready to buy. So if nothing else, like, that was successful. But I learned that you have to be really consistent and do a good job with the communication around the event. Because if you don't, then you just wasted all your money.
Right.
So it's not about how many people come, it's about how many people you can communicate with around it. So that one was a really fun one that I will do again. We also do a big party every summer, and I just invite everybody I've ever worked with and all my friends. And we have a great time, and we write it off, and we talk about real estate, and I do a few giveaways, and that's it. One other thing I want to do this year is on my calendar is do like giveaways, small giveaways, just on Facebook. I make a lot of stuff, so I'll just make stuff, and like I make bourbon barrel staves that are customized. Oh, cool. So I'm gonna give one of those away in January. It's actually supposed to be in 4 days, so I better get cracking. But stuff like that will help build your face in your business. So, okay, we're gonna move on. I might need to go take my inhaler. Okay,
Wow.
I don't know what that's all about.
The-
That's not it. No. Okay, if you can't measure it, you can't improve it. How does this apply to what we just talked about? This is actually a really good point. You can't measure it, you can't improve it. How does this apply to the success systems that we were just talking about?
You got track, you got track to do it, this is not what you're doing.
Yeah. So I know I showed you all the notebook that I keep. I mean, I put things in Command also, but I am very visual. I still have a paper planner. I have a calendar at home that we write on. Everybody has their own color. I'm a little OCD. Anyway, but I have a notebook that I write down everything I do every day, so I see it, and then I put on the calendar how many contacts I made each day of the week, so that I can go back and see, okay, in January, the first week, I didn't do anything. I was still recovering, I was still sick, whatever. Or you can like go through and mark off the week that you know you're not gonna do anything, but you can go back and hold yourself accountable. I made this many contacts and I posted on social media and I held an event. But find some way to hold yourself accountable for measuring what you're doing. You have to be able to do that. The success system may seem like a tall mountain to climb, and it can be achieved by measuring and improving every day. Top agents measure their important numbers so they can improve. Start measuring now and condition yourself with this habit. If you just do it immediately, it will make your life so much easier. It's like Command. If you wait to the end of the week to put everything in Command, you're never gonna do it. I would highly recommend doing it as you go. Makes life much easier. Anybody want to say anything about that? Okay.
It's about the consistency of tracking everything you do.
Yes.
Because once again, you can't make a plan until you know your numbers.
Yep.
Knowing your numbers is running a business.
Yep.
not knowing your numbers, you have a very expensive hobby.
Yeah, that's true.
That's what real
There's-
estate is at that point.
There's lead tracking tables, charts, they're everywhere. Get on all the sites and just look. Figure out what kind of tracking system helps your brain process all the information, because there's,
Yeah, and I run into all kinds of people that are like, oh, it's too hard. I can't do it. I can't track my numbers. And I go, if you took 1 week and committed to it, just even 1 week to get a litmus test of what your numbers are, you could start to build a plan around it. But once again, when you don't have a plan, everything seems hard.
yep,
But when you have a plan, you can focus on the plan and not the problem.
yeah. And start simple. I printed a blank calendar and wrote number, like 15 contacts this day, 5 contacts this day, 10, whatever. It doesn't have to be complicated, whatever works for your brain.
We overcomplicate things so much in this
Oh.
business. It's insanity to me.
I think
It-
we overcomplicate
real
things
estate
once.
is simple. It's not easy, but it's a very simple thing. Just track what you do and repeat it.
Yep, agreed.
And you don't get to get creative until you've gotten really good at doing the things that already work.
That was my problem in the very beginning.
It's everyone's problem in the beginning. We all think we know better than what the MREA has to tell us or any other book. We're like, I am so smart. Clearly, having worked in a theme park, I know more than these real estate professionals, or
Yep.
having worked in insert career here, I must know more.
Yep.
And truthfully, it's just because we probably know what we should be doing, but that looks hard or uncomfortable.
Yeah,
And so we gravitate towards our comfort zone. We
Yeah.
know our growth doesn't happen within that comfort zone, and yet expect it to happen in real estate.
Yep.
Okay. So if you are doing something that is within your comfort zone because it's easier or feels more organic to you right now, and it's not, I'm gonna challenge everyone to commit to 1 week of just doing something that is so far outside your comfort zone and tracking your results. I think you're going to be astounded, truly astounded by the results that you find. Because when we keep doing what we've been doing, we're going to get the results we were getting. And I think we've all can agree that we want something different.
insanity, literally, yep. Love it. Okay, so one of the very first conversations you have with your sphere of influence is, hey, guess what I'm doing? But beyond that, you want to engage your people in conversation about them. It can't always just be about you. So this is a really easy conversation to have with your people. Ask them about their family. Hey, how is your family doing? What's going on? Kids graduating, somebody get their license, oh, they're taking their car away because they're returned. Cool, I can relate. Ask them about their occupation. How's your work going? Guess what they're gonna do when you ask them about their occupation?
They're gonna go on and on.
I mean, maybe, but the typical person is going to reciprocate. They're gonna say, how's your work going? And then you can kind of chime in and be like, actually, you know what? I took a little leap of faith and I changed careers and this is what I'm doing and it's amazing and I can't wait to help all the people. But then move on, ask them about what they do for fun. Hey, summer's coming up, you guys got any plans? Okay, side note, once Christmas is over, in my mind, it's summer, so. Skip the rest of it, when is boating season? But ask them about what, you guys got any plans going on? Cool, what do you guys wanna do after your kids leave the house? Well, you've got a kid graduating, what are you gonna do? Ask them about their dreams. This is a really easy script for you to ask. Conversation for you to talk about with your sphere. It puts a focus on the other person, which is really important. Everybody wants to think that you're thinking about them. Right? They like to think that you're thinking, hey, I just called. I was just thinking about you and we haven't talked in a while. How's your family? How's the kids? Actually, I got an email, I got a text and then an email from a guy I dated in high school, and we've stayed friends this whole time. I know it's weird, but our families are friends, our spouses, all the things. So I haven't heard from him in like 2 years, and he sends me a Christmas card every year and I missed it. And he texts me and he's like, hey, our Christmas card got rejected. We've lived in our house 2.5 years. That's how long it's been since we talked. And so he's like, I'll email you, I don't, you didn't have time to check that. But that kind of thing is so important, like, that's how you can start the conversation with those people. How is your family? How are your kids? How is your job going? What's going on in your life? I just heard your grandma died, I'm so sorry. That's an easy way to reconnect with people you haven't talked to in a long time and not sound like you're in it for something for yourself. Because if you're reconnecting with people, obviously you want to maintain that relationship with them. So this is a great way to help maintain those relationships. Besides this, you can always share some gratitude with people. That's a great way. Hey, I just want to say I'm really grateful for your friendship. I was just thinking about you. Those are great calls to make, and they're not awkward because you really are grateful for people's friendship, right? At least I would hope so. There are some best practices with this. It is not meant as an interview. Do it like a conversation, like you care about the person. And if you don't care about the person, maybe don't do this. I think it needs to be genuine because people can see right through you. They can tell when you're being salesy or you got commission breath. So when you use this, your role is to ask, but then actually listen to what they're saying. Don't ask a question to then think about what you're going to say next. That's in the 7 habits of highly effective people, right? Seek to understand, like ask first to understand and then listen to actually understand what they're saying, right? Okay. And then you can ask briefly. Obviously, if you feel like the topic is not great, like something horrible just happened in their family, you can move on quickly. Or if you feel like that relationship is there, you can continue to ask follow-up questions. Like, tell me, like, what does that mean? Well, tell me more about that. I'm really sorry to hear about your grandma. How's your family handling that? Whatever. Yeah. Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, I think we kind of role played that a little bit, or at least I did with myself. Okay, so like I said, if you're a newer agent, this is a great place to start. Because it will lead into that conversation about what this big leap you just made into real estate. But you should start with your sphere. This is a great way to reconnect. If there's people you haven't talked to in a long time, you can also use this in direct messages on Facebook. I mean, I've done that with people I've lived a lot of places because my husband's a coach and we know people all over. And if I don't like necessarily, maybe I don't have their number, or maybe we never had that relationship to start with where I would call them, I'll direct message them and be like, oh my gosh, I just saw a picture of your kids. Your family looks amazing. How are you? How's life? How's it going? And I've reconnected with a lot of people that way. And I mean, people give me energy, obviously. So that is a great way for me to like stay in it and feel like I am doing something worthwhile, is to reconnect with those people and be like, oh my gosh, it's so good to hear from you. How are you? So, but make sure your contacts are in command when you're doing this, and then make notes about their life. So that when you go back to do it in 3 months, because you can put a repeat task on command, and I highly recommend the repeat button. It has changed everything for me.
Awesome.
Because I don't have to go in and put a task here's a task. I just repeat it. I need to talk to him this week, this week, this week. Done. But put notes in there after your conversation so that you will not forget. And even if you think that you remember everything, you can't. Once you start if you're genuinely having 100 conversations a week, you cannot possibly remember everything everybody tells you. And sometimes those little tiny notes are so important because when you follow up, you can be like, you know what, last time we talked, I know your grandma had just passed away. And I just want to ask how you guys are doing. Like, how's everything going? How's your mom? Is she doing okay? Like, those pieces are so important to people. Like, oh my gosh, they remembered. Even if they're not doing business with you, like they're your friend. Like, you want people to feel like you genuinely care about them. So those notes are super important. Anything you want to add on that one, Beth?
I would also encourage you to set tasks while you're having those conversations within command. So if I'm on the phone with Cheyenne and she tells me her grandma just died, first of all, I'm gonna make a note about that, obviously, in my command, but then I'm gonna immediately go over and set a task to send a card,
Yeah,
right? Because I don't want to forget that it needs to be timely. I think sometimes it's easy to throw things in our notes and then forget to attach action items to them. People want you to physically show up for them. What does that look like? What is the action item behind it? A lot of times we come across as just lip service. But something as small as like one of my customers, one of her dogs died, unfortunately. And I just sent her a sympathy card. She called me the next week crying when she got the sympathy card because it was the sweetest thing. She was like, no one else realized how important this was to me. You're the only one who sent me a sympathy card. Thank you so much.
that's so
I
sweet.
know I have a customer for life, and it took me a stamp.
Yeah. And 2 minutes.
Okay,
we're at a
but
car.
you just have to remember to do it, and we're not gonna remember everything. We do have to rely on the technology to remind us, so just be quick to set that task so you can make it a priority the next day.
Yep, agreed. But you also have to look at the tasks then the next day and don't ignore them.
Well, and this goes back to time blocking, right? So we know that lead generation and lead follow-up are two different things, right? I think the biggest mistake that we make when we are time blocking our time is we call it all lead generation.
Yeah,
And so we
that's
end up just lead generating and not following up,
and then you lose it.
right? Or we end up just following up with tasks from the day before and not generating any new business,
Yep,
right? So when you are creating the time blocks for your calendar, they really should be separate with lead follow-up and lead generation.
yeah, that's a great point. Agreed. Agreed. Okay, so what are your ahas with success systems? Anybody?
Well, you're talking about, birthday cards and stuff, on the team, we'll generally send out birthday cards to
Yeah,
our contacts. And I just had to find a text from one of our best friends that we see all the time. And we sent her, through the gym, sent her a birthday card. She sent me a text, she said, thank you for the sweetest birthday card. I love it so much, I'm gonna frame it.
awesome.
Like, you're welcome.
Yeah, I mean, she's
So,
You know.
That's amazing.
got, and I guarantee she's got a frame and sitting in her house.
That's amazing.
that's.
It's little tiny things like
And
that.
that made me feel so good,
Yeah,
and I'd already wished her birth,
yeah,
I didn't text her that
Yep.
day anyway,
still,
and we see her, we see her Saturday,
people like to think that you're thinking about
yeah,
them.
but I thought that was
That's awesome.
so cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Anybody else have anything ahas about success systems? Maybe what you can implement in your business? Well, if you ever want to have an event class, I'm happy to or you want to sit down and talk about how to do events, I'm happy to do that. You can also download playbooks on Pivot Shift Ahead for lots of different events. And they will take you through step by step. What to say when you start, how to plan it, where are you gonna do it, who you invite, like all the things. So they're out there, and if you ever need help, I am happy. Events are my jam. I love them. So please, please reach out. Okay, so oh, maybe this is, look at me. I feel like I talked a lot. Oh, no, there's more. Just kidding.
Like conversation sheets, there's all I got.
Okay. There's a little bit more, but, okay, so oh, no, it says, we've come to an end of our lesson for today.
Oh.
And now we'll move into success system time. We'll do a quick reminder of the success system and then dig in for the next 2 hours. We're not staying for 2 hours. We're not.
You got 17 minutes.
I need to, yeah.
Make sure Tammy's alive doing that listing in Korea. Yeah.
Let's just talk about aha. So how has your thinking changed from today's class? And what ideas or mindsets are new for you?
I think the events, honestly, and just doing that, like, I can get in front of you and talk. It's hard for me to have a phone conversation, which I need to master that skill. But you can set me in front of a group of people, I'll be nervous, but I'll be like, hey, blah, 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 and I can just do it.
Yep.
Inside, I'm like screaming, but outside, I'm like, it's fine, you know, no big deal.
Yeah.
But, I get more productivity when I was door knocking, talking to people.
Yeah.
I got a lead, I got a listing, unfortunately she backed out, but I was like, listen, it's
Yeah.
okay. It's like, we'll help you, I got people to help you fix up your place,
Yeah.
I'll even chop down your tree for you, because I can,
Yeah.
because I know how
Yeah.
safely. And so we just keep those relationships going. She's like, oh yeah, by the way, the neighbor next door, the house is vacant, they need to sell it. So I'm actually following up with her and trying to get that listing. Yeah, so it's just, and that's just me door knocking, doing an open house.
Yep.
Hitting 150 doors and maybe get one listing.
Yep.
But at least I got my face out there and, you know,
Yep.
talking to people, saying, hey, how's it going? You know, get some free home evaluation.
Yep.
Happy Halloween, so that's what it was. So,
Yeah.
You guys have a good time?
That's awesome. And make it part of your, like, when do you do that? You do that every Friday? Do you do that?
I
So
was
one-
doing it during the weekends, during the warmer months.
Yeah.
'Cause I was bringing my son with me. My son rang the doorbell.
Oh, that's
He
cute.
would like dance in front of the camera. You know, so you get people like crack up at it. Like,
Yeah.
here's my son, here's this is me. you
Yeah.
know. So, and then I got invited to do their little Masterson Station Facebook page.
Great.
Yeah, she's like, I'll add you. And then, so I added on, so I get all the event notification stuff and I just gotta go talk to their home, so.
Yep, I'll be in. That's amazing. Things happen. I think like doing that is great, but you just gotta like put it in your time, like when are you gonna do it every week?
Do it and be consistent, do it.
Yes, cause if you show up once, they're gonna forget your face in a hot second. One other thing I really wanna implement, or I don't want to do anything, I am implementing is newsletters. And it's going to go out to my sphere and to my neighborhood. And I think I wanted to do that for a long time, you just need to do it, right? Just do it. And just getting your face out there, it can be short, sweet, it doesn't have to be all about real estate, nor should it ever be always all about real estate. But that is an easy touch for people. I can like take it and put it in, you know, door knockers or whatever, or I can email it. It doesn't have to cost you a bunch of money, but it has to be in your time block, in your success system. So, anybody else?
I'm like, I mean, get out there in front of them. I mean,
Yeah.
Rebecca and I, we're trying to do that in Georgetown
Great.
with all the chamber functions.
Oh, yeah, yeah,
You know,
Rotary, it's the same thing.
I got,
Same
you
idea.
know, I mean, in Georgetown, the chamber lunches once a month. There's probably 150 people in every lunch. The lunches are huge, really. Oh, they're huge, that's me. And, you know, once a month, we can get 150 people.
Yep. Yep.
In an hour. You know, just to shut them over that, so.
I think thinking about the connections that you have in the community is huge too, like, I have way more connections than I take advantage of.
Yeah.
My husband's a coach at UK, like, come on,
That's what Mike tells me all the time. You've got to.
you just have to do
You
it,
don't
yeah,
realize.
yeah,
Mhm.
you have to do it, you have to use it.
Yeah.
That's who I need to take treats to, is the coaches and the secretary, the secretaries know everybody, right?
Yeah.
They know what's going on.
Yeah, and take it to them, just, hey, just brush the treat, here's information if you ever need an answer. That's it, there's no expectations, just here's a treat. So, anyway, good, the teachers love it, they're like, what's your practice?
Yeah.
What do you feel differently about after today and what was meaningful to you?
It's all meaningful.
Yeah, it's,
I mean, it truly is.
it is sometimes you forget, like, oh yeah, I forgot, you know,
Yeah.
and it's like a reminder, I need to do that right
Yeah.
now, and then it gets done.
Yeah.
You know, kind of thing, so make time to do the things that you say you're gonna do.
Yeah, put it in your schedule. How will your behaviors be different going forward? What's one thing you're gonna do differently after today? Or one action you're gonna take? You're gonna check your
I'm
numbers.
gonna set my coffee pot for 6 AM.
Everybody.
I'm telling you.
It's at 6 AM.
It is the silliest simple pleasure, but I did it on Monday and, I mean, I haven't had to be like. Up and like dressed and ready to go when I take the kids in a long time, cause this is my second full year out of teaching. And that's it, walking down there and that's ready, I'm like, this is a game changer. It just magically brings
I
up.
was so funny, because I was telling Keith that, we all, but every night after work cleaning up, and this is
Yeah.
my wife and I.
Yeah.
Same thing.
The coffee is fixed for the next
Yeah.
morning and turned on. I do that every night. In fact, if I don't do it, I feel like I'm Oh,
busy.
no, I slacker,
Yep,
you know, fix the info,
Yep.
you know, but I really don't know.
I
yep,
do the same thing, except now I'm getting to where I pack the kids or it's lunch.
yeah.
So his lunch is packed, snacks are in the bag, everything's ready to go. I'm like,
Yep.
It's a little things.
Atomic Habits, that's a great book to read, or you just like habit stacking, little tiny things that help you be more successful throughout the
And
day.
you're like, wow, it's so much time for activities.
Yeah.
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 You're not rushed or stressed, you're like, huh.
I got up when my alarm went off today instead of 20 minutes late, and I was like, oh, we got this, we're good, except the Lego thing, you know. I was running around like a crazy person, my husband was sitting on us, anyway, that's all. Towel, he usually doesn't do that, and I was like,
Get your butt up.
I can only control myself, Okay, any tools, models, or systems, how do you guys track your numbers, just out of curiosity?
We have Jim tells us we're doing a bad job.
Did you hear that, Beth? He said he said Jen tells us we're doing a bad job because they're on Michael's team. You track, you know.
You know, honesty is really the best way. I mean,
I need verbal counselings and abusive. That's how we try. When it's nice, we're like, oh, we're doing good.
Yeah.
It's not, that's right.
All right.
Now, it's on our, we have a lead intake tracker for them.
Oh.
We track our leads and it's sent in and it gets put into command and that's how it was. So we can actually look and see, okay, I've got, 5 leads and how, actually I should go back and follow up with those leads.
Yeah.
Sometimes you forget. You
Yeah.
Put 50, 60 in there, you're like, oh.
Set a task, right? When you're
Well,
supposed to,
yeah.
right, just like that.
And then we have Maddie will set task force, sometimes we
Yeah.
tell her to, but sometimes we don't tell her to, just to the type of it.
Yep.
So it helps us to go back and
Yep,
speak of, I need to go back to 1.3's leads and go to mine, so that I can follow up with those guys.
Yep. Absolutely. Great. Okay, I think. Okay, we did, I don't know why it's. Okay, yeah, we're not going through all this stuff, so. We're not digging in for another 2 hours. I have to go do lottery for Rotary and
Coffee?
someday I'll cup coffee. Anyway, okay, well, thank you all very much for attending today. Tomorrow we are back at it with,
Next with your one hits.
really?
Yep.
Fancy.
Oh, this must be from before. These sticky notes. I'm like, Steve isn't teaching Connect with Your Market, so I was confused. That was from an old one. You're gonna. There we go. Yeah, we're back tomorrow with Connect with Your Market. It's probably gonna be me again. We do have other facilitators lined up, but a lot of people were busy early in the month. They had a lot going on. So you stuck with me, but I'm happy to do it. Sorry. So thanks for coming. I hope you all have a great and productive day. Go do whatever action item you said you were gonna do today. Track your numbers, make a system, all the things. Okay? I'll see you later.
See you all.